most people wouldn't dream of going to a show by themselves. They would invite a friend, and if that friend said no, they wouldn't go, or they would invite a group of people and they need a group to go see a concert. But I did something different. I went to a show solo. And something came out of this show that you might want to learn about. The concert was Michael Margaci. And if you're not familiar with Michael Margaci, he has a song called Scared to Start that's been streamed over 500 million times. And he's from Cincinnati, Ohio. He didn't get a guitar until he was in the 7th grade, and he fell in love with music and kind of a folk style of music. And he was impacted by some musicians around his age, like the Lumineers and others. And in college, he joined a band. He also played golf, which was awesome to learn. But he got involved in this band, and they played for 4 years or so, and it just kind of flamed out. And they mainly opened for other people. But he felt like he still had more music in him. He thought he had something here. Even though he struggled with some anxiety and being on stage, he thought there was something here for him. And so he started writing down these songs. And he kept writing down songs, and he had 3 songs, and he's like, you know what? I want to give this a go on my own. So he recorded these 3 songs, and he downloaded this thing called TikTok, and he, played the music on his phone, and he uploaded it, and nobody watched it. And then he did it again, and nobody watched it. And then he did it again, and nobody watched it. And he was struggling through this. Well, maybe it's not as good as I think it is going to be. And then he decided, you know what? I'm going to put my most popular song to a couple images and some text. And he publishes it, and he starts to see a little bit of traction. He calls his manager. He's like, I think there's something here. It's got a couple thousand views. And he goes, well, maybe when you wake up tomorrow, if it has 25,000, we're really on to something. Well, when Michael woke up in the morning, he woke up to over 1 million views of this video. And people started cutting up this song and using it to their videos. And it was Michael's big break. And it's this song called Scared to Start. It's just catchy, and it's good. And he's got this unbelievable voice. And now he's parlayed that success to traveling around the country, headlining his own shows, now not opening for anybody else. And it's a small band, but he plays in these kind of local venues with a couple thousand people in them. And it's got to be exhilarating for someone like this to go on tour with his music, being that he's only been at it for 8 to 10 months as a solo artist. So I did what any weird guy would do that's listened to his music over and over again on Spotify as I've written, or I've listened to his music as I worked. And I was like, I see he's coming to Charlotte, and I'm like, I feel like I owe it to this guy to give him $30. That's how much I've enjoyed his music, and he's inspired my writing. Well, I did what anybody would do. I asked my wife, I asked some friends. Nobody had really listened to him, so I didn't want to push the subject too much, because typically people like to go see music that they've heard or could sing a song. So I said, you know what? I'm just going to go solo. And that is exactly what I did. I drove from my house to this little venue 30 minutes away in Charlotte. And I go into this little neighborhood theater, and I just was amazed at how many 1,000 people had shown up to see this guy that they had most likely just heard through TikTok and then a friend. And I learned a lot of things that night. Watching a performer perform in a really small venue, I learned some lessons that I want to share with you, that no matter if you're an aspiring musician, or you're a leader, or you're an artist, or you're an author, it doesn't matter. There are going to be lessons that you're going to learn from Michael Margaci and his journey, and me going to his show, that you can use on your journey. So the very first lesson that we're going to cover is this. If you won't get it, if you don't ask. You won't get it if you don't ask. I walk into this venue and this big area behind the stage, right in front of the stage, is full. And then there's an area where the bar is, and it's kind of standing room, and it has 2 rows of seats. And I'm sitting there by myself, which is a little awkward because everybody's got friends, and I got like a White Claw, and I'm kind of by myself, just kind of feeling it out. And I see that in the front row of chairs, right next to the stage, on this ledge, there's 1 open seat. And there's 3 or 4 women sitting in the other seats. So there's this 1 open seat, and I'm thinking, well, it would certainly be nice to sit in the front row and watch this concert instead of standing here by myself, kind of looking through people or trying to get a view of the stage. And there just so happened to be another woman there by herself in front of me. And so I just took a lot of courage. I didn't feel like doing it. I was kind of wanting to stay in my safe zone, but I just tapped her on the shoulder. I said, do you know if those seats are available? And she says, I don't know. I really don't know. And I was like, well, would you like, she said, no, I'm good. I would like to, but I would feel uncomfortable. And after about 5 minutes of playing this story in my head, I was like, you know what? What's the worst that they say? So I just walk up and I tap this lady on the shoulder and I said, is anyone sitting here? And she jumped. She was so scared. She's like, I'm sorry, I'm a little jumpy. I said, I apologize for scaring you, but is anybody sitting here? She said, no. So I sat down. I didn't spend a lot of time talking to them. I let them have their space, but I got a front row seat right there to watch Michael Margaci in Charlotte, North Carolina. And the only reason I got it after going was that I was willing to ask. And so the first lesson that you have to learn is that you won't get it if you don't ask. Everybody, if they're willing to admit it or not, desires something. But so few people are willing to ask for it for fear of what other people might say or do. If you want something, you must ask. And the worst case is that they say no. And you got to deal with a little rejection, but you were already getting told no. So it's a small example, but whatever it is, those things that you want or you desire, make sure you have the courage to ask. And I love this technique. I learned it from a guy. He taught it to his son, and it goes like this. Feel free to say no, but would it be possible if enter XYZ? Feel free to say no, but would it be possible if I sat in the front row right there since nobody's sitting there? It's disarming, but it takes that pain of rejection away, even if you do get rejected. So the first lesson from the artist with 500 million streams is you simply won't get it if you don't ask. The second, and maybe the most important lesson that you learn from this, is that the only way for people to know your music is to make it. The only way for people to know Michael Margaci's music was to make it in the first place. Yes, he had to publish on TikTok even when no one was looking. Yes, he had to have the courage to share that music when his mom wasn't even listening to the music. But before all that, he had to make the music. He had to write the songs and record it. The only way for people to know your music is to make it. Now, you might not be a musician, and neither am I. You do not want me singing. But I do know, if you want people to know you for something, you have to make something. If you want people to know you for your writing, you better write. If you want people to know you for your coaching, you better coach. If you want people to know you for your sales skills, you better sell. Hopefully you get the idea. The only way for people to know your insert X is for you to make insert X. And it doesn't guarantee that they will, but it's the only way in. It is table stakes, to use a poker analogy. The third lesson that I want you to learn from Michael Margaci is you don't suddenly become great on the day of the Super Bowl. As I was sitting up there watching Michael perform, I was thinking, how many times has he performed on stages where no one was listening? How many songs has he played in his garage or his bedroom when no one knew he was playing it? How many bad shows did he have to play to get to one good show? And this lesson comes from a great book about irresistible service and having great service for other people. And it's a great reminder for you and for me that we can want to be great. We can want to be awesome. But the teams that win the Super Bowl, they don't just suddenly become great that day. They were great every single day. They worked at it every single day. So they gave themselves a chance to perform on the biggest stage when those opportunities come. And it doesn't guarantee that you're going to do great when you get that opportunity. But the repetitions have to be there. And you might get them alone. You might get them in small audiences. You might get them in one person to 10. It doesn't matter. The repetitions matter. There's this great definition of confidence: the memory of success. And for you to build confidence, for me to build confidence, what we need is the memory of success. We have to build it through repetition. And even if that repetition isn't in competition or isn't in front of a audience or isn't in front of a sales team live, the fact that you have repped it over and over and over again, it builds this confidence from within. Remember, just like Michael Margaci, you don't suddenly become great on the day of the Super Bowl. All right, the fourth lesson from the guy that has 500 million streams is people will pay more to hear the hits even if they heard it first for free. People will pay more to hear the hits even if they heard it first for free. We all want to be paid immediately when we create something, but the reality is people are willing to pay more for something if they already know that they've heard the hits and they know the words and they know the songs. If you don't know the music, you're a lot less likely to go at all. Just like me, the only reason I went is because I had heard his songs so many times in the background as I wrote or as I worked. And I'm willing to pay $30. Well, go up to the next level. You're willing to pay $150 to go see Dave Matthews. You're willing to pay X to see Sting. You're willing to pay X to see the Beatles. You name the favorite band in the history of the world, you're willing to pay more. And when you go, you want to hear the hits, even though you've heard them over and over and over again. So my challenge to you is this: wherever you're leading right now, whatever you're doing right now, don't be afraid to do something for free. Don't be afraid to create an irresistible offer or something that you might not normally do for a potential customer for free to show them what you're made of. And that's exactly what I learned by watching Michael Margaci. I was willing to pay because I'd heard all this other stuff that he had done for free. And the fifth lesson is that you must prioritize things that could make a meaningful impact. This is hard because there's so many things you need to do or could do or dream about doing. But prioritization is a skill. And the only way that Michael Margaci can ever go on tour, can ever get on a label is to write songs and make them. That's it. Like you're not going to get it just by covering other people's music. He has to prioritize things that can make a meaningful impact on his career. And that is writing and making or creating. What are the things in your career that you need to prioritize that could make a meaningful impact? In mine, it's not just writing another blog. It's working on a new book. It's not just coaching one person. It's trying to create a program that could coach a lot of people. Can I prioritize things in my day to make a meaningful impact? Now, whether you like Michael Margaci or not, whether you ever listen to his song Scared to Start, I hope you do. There are lessons to learn from someone that's scaling early in their career. And to me, it is inspiring. And it's lessons that you can learn and take with you. So number one, you won't get it if you don't ask. Number two, the only way to make people know your music is to make it. Number three, you don't suddenly become great on the day of the Super Bowl. Number four, people will pay more to hear the hits even if they heard it first for free. And number five, prioritize things that could make a meaningful impact. It's my hope that some of the ideas and strategies in this show help you on your leadership journey. Until next time, be a great leader at work and at home.